Where's my stencil? Oh no. I'm losing everything. Now where'd my stencil go? I apologize, everybody. I misplaced my stencil that I need. I will be right back. Shoot. I thought I had it. Hi everyone, I'm back. I had to find my stencil of the month. And I thought it was sitting on my counter, but it was not. So I'm going to get my chat here pulled up. Okay, and now I'm going to make this all big and live. We are going to use the stencil of the month tonight to do some scrapbooking, which is something I haven't done that. Hi Tia, how are you? We are going to, I use the stencil of the month to do a scrapbook page. It's coming up on social media pretty soon. Hi Sarita. But tonight I thought we'd do another one. So the stencil of the month is this, it's teacup patterns, I think. So it has this teacup and then has these little patterns that can go over the top. Not sure if I'm going to use all of these tonight, but I am going to use this piece tonight. And I'm going to mix it in. Hi, Mom. And what I'm going to do, I haven't scrapbooked in a long time, and I was really excited for this month's subscription because I scrapbooked a page for my son. He was in a play, and he was the March Hare in Alice in Wonderland, so I got to use this to scrapbook a page for him. And my daughter was Chip in Beauty and the Beast. So I am going to scrapbook a page, actually 2 pages. We'll see if we get them both done tonight. I have the second page off to the side. And she, as a freshman in high school, she got to be Chip. So this is a photo we used for her, I've used for her graduation, so it's got some bends in it. But I have them, these already pre-cut and sized to the size I want, and matted already. So we're going to go ahead and get started on, we're going to make, oh, you can see that off to the side. We're going to make this little teacup to mimic her tea, even though her cup handle's the other way. I have one done ahead of time, but I wanted to show you how I did that. So I used the Cozy Holiday cutting dies, and I've already cut out the cup. And this one is actually, I'm going to use a couple of these on the page, so I have them going in different directions. I'm going to leave everything inside. So what I'm going to do to put that in, I'm just flipping it over backwards, and I'm grabbing a little low-tack tape to take that down. And I noticed a lot of my pictures fell on the floor, so we'll grab those quick. For the second page, teacup patterns, I found that. Okay, so I went through my stash to mimic as much of the tea cup as I could, and I found a couple of, I have a couple of stencils. I have subtle spots, and that is the first one. And all I did was I just grabbed a gray ink from my stash. I just want a light gray ink, and it looks like the picture has some, I think they're more, the teacup pattern has more flowers on it, but I thought this looked really close, so I just did a little bit of that ink blending there, and then I just shifted it a little, and I just used what was ever left on my brush to, you know, put some more of the pattern. So if you look at this, it looks very kind of similar to what was on her cup. And then I did find there is the ladybug and the bed of roses, which came out last year. I do not believe they are, but go ahead and look through your stash. I happened to find, when I saw this, this is the perfect rose to fit on the front of this card. So all I'm going to do is take some low tap tape, and I'm only going to do part of it tonight because I have to let it dry. And I found this small little rose, and I'm just going to ink off, mask off the leaves and any part I don't want I don't want to accidentally get red. So just have a little bit of masking tape on there, or you can use washi tape or post-it notes. And then I have some Scarlet Glitter Glaze. You could use Chroma Glaze, which is what I ended up using for the leaves on the one I did in advance. But I just grabbed a little bit of that and I just put it on pretty thick because it will dry. It will take a while to dry, but that way it doesn't necessarily show the pattern through, but yet it does. And the rose is a lot more detailed in the picture, but I thought this was a good fun accessory. So we're just going to go ahead and peel that off. We're just going to let it set it aside to dry, and I'm going to actually scrape up some of the extra. Actually, maybe I'll make, yeah, nope, I'm just gonna have two. If I want to make another one, we can make another one here quick. Let's pull this off here for just a second. We've got two out here. Let's make two. Where did I put that? But I thought this is just kind of a fun way to add some detail to her scrapbook page with my own ephemera type, you know, without having to go buy some stickers or something like that. When I scrapbook, two of the things that I don't do, I tend to not journal because I hate my handwriting. Hi Joanne, how are you? I'm making a scrapbook page for my daughter tonight. I hope you're ready for some weather coming your way, I see. Or is it going to be north of you? It's going to be south of me, north of you. But I don't journal, mostly because I have high ideas to type up journaling, because I don't like my handwriting. Even when they say you should have your handwriting for your kids, I don't like my handwriting when it comes to scrapbooking. I do a tiny bit, but I don't do a lot. So I'm just going to quick wipe my stencil off. And then once the stencil is all dry, my cup is very dry, it's very easy to line it back up. And I just mask off the sides and the flower, and then I will go ahead and do the leaves. Yeah, I haven't scrapbooked, and I kind of have a desire to do some, but I'm not getting it all out. So I just recently did one over the weekend for my son using the stencil of the month, and which will be out on social media in a week or so. And then I thought this would be fun for my daughter. So I really like to scrapbook. I just don't do it very often. I think it's this first time in 6 years maybe. Okay, so we've got that done. So this is where I don't really have much of a plan. We're gonna go ahead and bring in the pictures. And these, on this page, I'm doing all pictures of my daughter Haley and Mrs. Potts. So I thought this is Chip and Mrs. Potts. And so I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of figure out where I'm gonna put the pictures, because we are gonna add a little more detail to that other cup. But I may end up, I think I'm gonna probably layer these two. Maybe we'll switch these around. But that's what we'll do. So this is the generic layout of what we're gonna do. And now I'm gonna use this stencil to create the cups. So we're gonna go ahead. I like clean form. Yes, so I struggle with it. I will put titles on. Like, I haven't put a title on this one tonight. I'll probably do that later. I think I'm gonna do Chip and Mrs. Potts. And then on the second page do Beauty and the Beast. But I don't do a lot of journaling, mostly because sometimes I think it depends on what the photos are. These photos kind of speak for themselves. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of play around with what I want. And we're going to go ahead, and I actually only used part of this stencil. I haven't used the whole thing yet. So I'm going to very carefully mask off the top and the bottom. I am going to leave the hole where the handle is, and I'm going to go ahead and use that same just gray soft ink, and I'm just going to go very lightly. I don't need it to be super dark. We're not going to put roses on these. I just thought we would, you know, make teacups. You know, in case I decide I want to, I could very easily do ink blending on the flower, on the cups. And I think before I do anything else, so there's one. I'm going to go ahead and put another one right here. Before I do the saucer, I'm going to go ahead and ink blend another one up. Because if you notice on her cup, in her photos, the top of the cup is silver, and then there's the bottom lip or saucer. I don't know if it's supposed to be a saucer or a bottom edge of her cup is silver. So we may put a little bit of shimmery stuff on this tonight to mimic that. So there we have two of our cups. You do, Lori, you do recognize that girl, don't ya? Are you proud of me? How long have I been scrapbooking? It's been a long time. So now I'm going to go ahead and remove my masks. I'm not scrapbooking this weekend, Lori. I have lots to work on. I'm going with my friend Lori to do some today, this weekend. So now I can tune it down below, but I'm going to go ahead and add it right to the bottom of my cup. So I'm just going to mask off that part here, and I'm going to mask off the side here because I don't want to, and I'm a heavy ink blender, but I want it to be attached to my teacup because that's what it looks like in her photos. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Yes, it has been a long time. And you know, Lori, when I saw some of the spring release, the next couple of months releases, my first thought was, so I've got one double page layout done. I've got this page will be done. I've got another one coming up using some products from March. I'm super excited about that. So there we go. So we've got that, and we've got, so now we're going to add this one. It's okay if they overlap a little bit, but this is actually not something I've ever done before this last week. I've never ink blended and used stencils in my scrapbooks before. You know, I was one of those old school scrapbookers. You take your pictures out, you crop them down, you mat them, you add some stickers or die cut letters, maybe a die cut that you bought. But a while ago I started stamping. Oh, that one got off a little bit. It's not quite centered. That's okay. It'll be fine. So we've got two teacups there. We're going to leave those the way they are. I think I'm going to change my mind, and we are going to do a little blending on this. We're going to go ahead and grab this, and I'm going to put it back over the top, and we're going to add that detail in too. So I'm just using this subtle stripes stencil, and I'm just going to go a little bit heavier. With the dots, and since I moved it, I need to rearrange it just a little bit, and it will be fine because, like I said, we overlapped. I'm just going to over it a little bit to mimic that pattern. It does not have to be perfect. I think I might put the stamp their names, Chip and Miss Potts, or cut out die cut letters and put those inside these. I think that's what I will do, probably off camera. Because I'm not the best when it comes to necessarily always stamping direct on here, but we can go for it. I can grab some old things. So I've got a little bit of the texture on there, and then we'll go ahead and I think instead of putting the glitter on here, because I want those other ones to mimic, I'm going to grab a teeny tiny bitty brush and a red, excuse my hand here, just has my little ink cubes are off to the side here. They're just handy. We're just going to do a little bit of the rose right on there, and probably should have masked some of that off because, like I said, I am a heavy-handed when it comes to ink blending. I don't normally scrapbook on lives. I usually do cards, but I thought this would be just a different way to show the price the product. Um, I have used all of the products this month a lot and have been having a lot of fun, and this is just something new. So we're going to go ahead and line that back up. And I will grab, that is close. I am actually going to grab, this is an eye makeup tool. And I will grab a green of some sort. For this is just to put on eyeshadow, just cheap brush. I like to use them for teeny tiny little areas. A friend of mine recommended them, and I don't use them very often anymore, but I thought this will be perfect to add it just a little bit. Thank you. Yeah, I just thought it adds something different and personable for my kids. Over the years, I've tried to shop knowing what I'm going to scrapbook when I scrapbook. And then, like I said, I don't always journal and I don't always embellish. I figure embellishments can always either be made or bought easily. But you can go ahead and still get your idea down, and then you can go to the scrapbook store, or if you don't have any scrapbook stores or any product you can use, go to a big box store and find some stuff that will work in the future. But at least if you get the main idea down and all that. So now we've got our two little cards here. And then, like I said, we made this little cup as well. So let's go ahead and attach these. I actually have some very, very old photo corners. That's how long it's been since I've scrapbooked. And that's what I actually taped everything down with. But I decided this time I would just use my big tape gun. And then we will grab, I'm going to go over and grab some stamps, and we'll quick stamp out Chip and Mrs. Potts. I do know for sure there is one item I won't be able to do on screen because I forgot to grab it. It's in my bag in the other room. And that is, I have my friend Lori, a long time ago, I got some flip-flap pieces for her. So I am going to, and those are going to be there so that I can put one photo on top of another. And I don't have my page protectors handy either, so I'm going to put that on later, but I'll explain when I get there. So don't be afraid to grab your stencils, grab your stamps, stamp in your scrapbook. You know, it's just paper. If you're nervous about it, don't put your photos down right away. You know, my go-to has usually always been a blank piece of background paper. I just always have done it that way, partly because I can add something to it, or I can add some pattern paper in the form of a border or an embellishment or something. But I like not that you can't use, but for me, I don't use pattern paper in my scrapbooks too often because I want to have the pictures be the focal point. Okay, so now we've got this. Thank you. I thought, like I said, I was really excited to do this, and I will, when I see you, I will show you the other one I did. You'll be excited to see those. All right, so we've got this done, we've got that done. I'm gonna go quick grab some stamps. I can't tell you, these are old stamps. I've had these for a long time. I think they're from a big box store. I bought them specifically for scrapbooking and things, small scrapbooks. So I'm gonna go ahead, I think they're even, yeah, from a big box store here. I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna just go for it. I'm gonna stamp the names. So we need Chip, C-H-I-P, and we need Mrs. Potts, so M-R-S-P PS. I think for, like I said, this little, for like a flip, if you wanted to have a separate photo that you could put on that has a glue on this side and flip, you could use a stamp pocket and cut it down using a fuse tool to fuse it, or find a smaller scrap pocket, you know, and maybe fold it over your picture and tape it on the back side, because no one would ever sew it, like a square one. All right, we are going to go ahead and go for it. So we have chip, we're gonna just go for H and I first, and I'm just gonna go for it. These little, it doesn't have to be perfect. You know, my kids aren't gonna get these until way long. I can't do a straight line. I never do. I try to make them kind of wonky. That's part of the fun, I think. Chip. I need the and. Is there an and? There is. Chip. That is a weird looking and, but it's an and. And. So now Mrs. Potts is longer, so we'll get Mrs. on the top. M R S. You know, don't be afraid to grab an old stamp or die set to add to. And I do have a little bit of the little thing there, but I have a way to, we're going to fix that. Now we need to get them S, O, T, T, and R, P. I'm going to go ahead and just go for it. P, O. It's funny because the cups look a little dirty because they're with that T, T, S, Mrs. Potts. So we do need a little bit of a chip line because we're chipped, but I think I'm going to actually grab a Copic marker, a black Copic marker if I can get to it. And we're going to draw on our chip, and then we're going to make our silver pieces. And then we'll set this aside to dry, and we'll start our second page. So this is just a alcohol marker with and it just looks like the tip goes kind of like this. We're just going to color it in, and we're going to color in it on this one too because we're going to match our pot. I want them to match. They don't have to be the same, but there's just a little chip. And we will also do that with this. I'm going to put it on this side. And I'm going to pop out that center piece, I think, now, because we don't need that on there anymore. I use that to help keep it in place so that I wouldn't, when I ink blended, I didn't ink blend on that and break it. Okay, so we've got this piece here. And now we're going to add some bling. I just have some quick silver glitter glaze here, and we're going to put this off to the side here a little bit. I'm going to grab a paintbrush. Actually, I'm not going to use glitter glaze. I changed my mind because this glitter glaze is a little bit opaque, translucent. Translucent's the word. So let's grab some silver chroma glaze. So this won't dry completely tonight, but I got some silver chroma glaze here. just going to wipe that off a little bit because we don't need a lot. And I'm going to go ahead and we're going to paint kind of a bottom edge of this just to mimic the teacup. I may change my mind about this and add something else instead, but I'm going to add just that little bit of extra silver at the top, which will give it some when you see the photos, once it dries and I take photos tomorrow, and I'll share them in the Brutus Monroe fan club page, you will see that it adds some nice shine. So we're gonna let that aside. I should have done that earlier. I apologize. That would have been ready. But we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna paint it right on. I think I'm gonna go ahead and wipe it off quick. So it's very light, and go ahead and use the stencil for the bottom pieces here. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're just adding a little bit of shimmer to the bottom, and I also added that, I ink blended it first so that the color is there. And then the chroma glaze will give it some nice shine. So we've got that one done, and I'm just going to hold this one up on this side so I can get them both done. And it will add some nice shimmer and shine to the edge of that. I got a little crazy. I'll just mark that off just a little bit. It's not quite so crazy. Okay. All right. I'll put that off to the side for now to dry. And then we'll put a little bit on the top. I'm actually going to grab a smaller paintbrush so I can control it more. I'm just going to do a little edge. You could use some silver paper, which I thought about doing too, but I thought this added a little bit of extra fun and a homemade quality to it, because it's not perfect. And in the story, since Chip's actually a little boy, he turns into a teacup. Little boys don't stay clean all the time, do they? Especially little boys Chip's age that live in a castle. I'm sure he is dirty all the time. So there we go. Add just a little bit of shine. And then we've got our first page. So I hope everyone's doing well tonight. Hope you have enjoyed something different from me. I've got one more page to go here. We got 30 more minutes to go. So this is page 1. I do need to wipe this off so we can use it on the other page. Okay. Set that aside to dry here. Okay, so I am not usually a one-page layout kind of girl. I'm a two-page layout kind of girl. I'll throw these stamps off to the side because I don't think I'm going to use them. So I have another page here. And so this is what Mrs. Potts and Chip look like when they're human, in their human form. And this is where, like I said, I'm going to grab my flip-flop to put it in, and I'm going to put the picture of them. This is my daughter and her friend posing after the play, and we're going to put them on top of each other, and then the flip-a-flop will end up being so you can flip it and you'll be able to see the picture underneath. This was the cast, and she was the only freshman that got a main role. The rest are all sophomores or older. And so I have the cast. You can't see all of their fun characters, but I think you get the idea. But I thought you could add in one with Cogswell. And then I have one where they're playing, getting the Be Your Guest. So here's where we're going to add a little bit more of those. We're going to add more of the teacup stencils. So now we know what our layout's going to be. I'm going to actually flip these around like this. We're going to grab our stencil and we're going to get to town. Go to town. So I'm going to, let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. We could do 3 or 4 of them. I think I'm going to start though with the saucer this time. Just because I think it will be easier to, where did I put my gray blending brush? Anybody see my gray blending brush? Ah, I put it behind me. So do you guys, does anyone scrapbook anymore? Anyone else really scrapbook anymore? Or did you start off scrapbooking and now you just card making? Do you paper craft? Do you still sometimes scrapbook? I mean, I know Lori scrapbooks. She's got to get working on her senior book, I'm guessing here. I don't know how she's been doing on that. So I've got, there's one teacup. Well, I have such a mess in my room right now. I've been working on a lot of projects for upcoming things, and I have stuff everywhere. So my room is a mess. Plus, I have a virtual crop coming up at the end of the month. You have, of course, Mom, you have lots of scrapbooks to do. Just kidding. We're gonna go ahead, and we're only gonna put in, I think we're only gonna get in 4 teacups here, unless I get one up above, and we might do that. It's been sports, yeah, I'm sure. I have a lot of sports pages to scrapbook. I have not done a ton of them. I think I did one with the photos. I mean, I did them real quick. They're kind of cop-out scrapbook pages. Literally, I think it's a picture of their sports pictures, and then it is a page that might say cross country because my son was in cross country, or it said cheerleading because my daughter was a cheerleader, or dance. But I have a lot more dance pages done than anything else. But that's because they were really fun to play with and do and get a lot of ephemera and fun things to add to. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move these for a few minutes. So I did not mask that one off very well. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and put this on, and I'm going to mask down just a little bit here. We're going to mask off the side here so that I don't mess this up too much. I should probably cover this for right now. And like I said, I like to scrap. My goal is, like I said, I go scrapbooking with my friend Lori here, that's here in the chat, or crafting. We have a group that gets together, and I haven't scrapbooked at them. I mostly card made for the last couple of years, quite a few years here now. But I think the first time I went away with you guys, I scrapbooked, and maybe two other times, but then for the most part I make cards. My goal this winter was, and it didn't happen, was to organize some scrapbook pages into kits necessarily and put them in album pages, and then I can just take those to go. Yep. Joanne, that's exactly how it kind of worked for me too, except it was a different company. It started with an S that I started with all of this. Crafting for scrapbooking started with a Minnesota company that isn't now. When I scrapbook, like I said, most of my scrapbook stuff goes with the company that you've kind of been talking about, you talked about there. Because I like to support that as my friend that sells that, and I like some of their products. But I am trying not to buy paper anymore. I try not to buy anything scrapbook related unless I have a specific. You gave up card making because I couldn't get a good image. Then, oh yeah, yep. The rest is absolutely history. And guess what, Joanne? That's why we met. Right? We would never have met without the Misty. Isn't that fabulous? And one of these days I am going to get the Memory Misty, because that's going to make my scrapbooking days go even more, because I have stamps that I'd like to stamp out the titles, and I want to use the memory to do that. Okay, so I had a little bit of a mistake, if you can see there, when I didn't mask that off, but it's going to get covered by my inking here. I think a lot of people would have given up if it hadn't been for the Misty, you know, and that is one way, to be honest with you, that's how I met Christopher, and I learned about Brutus Monroe, was because of Stamp Junkies, which was created for the Misty, and I met Christopher at one of their functions, and the rest is history. So you just complete, good for you, Lori. Isn't it make it fun to be able to do that? Okay, so now we've got that. We do need to put a little bit of our design on here with our subtleness, our subtle stencil. I think, is that what this one was called? I think. Joanne and I get together from time to time with some friends and do some crafting together. We actually don't live super far apart from each other, a couple hours, but you know, a couple hours can still be a ways. So, all right, so there we got that one. And I know it's not on the base, but the base doesn't have it on there. So we're gonna go ahead, and I could have done this as I had it already done and masked before, but I didn't. I said I'm just moving the stencil over to give it some extra spots. So that, you know, a stencil like this, so here, if you haven't seen this stencil, I should show you that. It has these little patterns, and there's etched lines in here that you can line up, so that you can line up and make the patterns on the teacup. So there's, you know, for different things, which is super fun. You know, I could have used the daisies, but I knew we had that rose thing, so I thought I'd use this base. You know, here's one, so you can make a striped cup. So this is a very fun set. And then of course, the way I'm using it tonight is I just pulled out another stencil and I'm stenciling over it, which makes it super, super, super fun, because you use your supplies, and I found something to kind of make more of a match with the thing I used, the photos. And I think you get the idea. You know, we can't be afraid to step out of our, if we make a mistake, flip the page over. That's why I don't add photos till the very, very end. If I make a mistake, I can flip this over and put this and do it again. Or I can just throw it away and grab a new piece. Okay, so there we've got those two items done. And then we're going to very, very, very quickly add our roses once again. And this time I better grab my masks to tape. You know, if you have a friend who you like to go have tea with, or you have coffee with, you know, and they have a favorite mug, you can use this stamp set to customize a card to give them a gift card to go to their favorite coffee place. You know, use that basic teacup and then add a stencil to color it, or add a pattern to it, or whatever you want to do. And I mean, that's just fun. That's one of the fun things about those fun, thick, more open stencils. Okay, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to try to, you know, so as who is, I don't know who's here and if they're ready for winter, or if winter is, if you're winter people, if you're excited for some more winter weather. I know here in Iowa, there is a winter storm watch for my area, and down south of us, I love it. 0 to 7 inches of snow is what we could be getting tomorrow. So starting tonight at 3 a.m. or something like that. I'm like, okay. Last week they told us the same thing was going to happen, and we got zilch. We got nothing. So there we got our little bit of our rose. And then, because I'm going to use that, like I said, that eyelash brush. Where did I put my green? Like I said, if you saw the outside of my, I mean, you can see this right here. Oh, look at how messy this all is. I'll put these over here because I'm done with those. You would not be surprised because it is a mess. I think I must have put it away. All right. Go ahead and we're just going to add a few leaves. Move the stencil over a little bit this time so that I get them in where I want them. You know, you can manipulate a stencil, however, you know, you don't have to just leave it in one spot. You know, move it over so that the leaves are exactly where you want them if you're going to do them in a different color. It's what adds some interest and homemadeness and fun to, you know, I was super excited because my daughter lives far away from me. She lives in Florida, and she teaches ballroom dancing, and I got a video from her last night. It keeps changing. Yeah, 6 to 8, and then an hour ago it says 2 to 4, and then yeah, that's because we're near Highway 20. And Highway 20 is that goal. They always say that's that little spot that it either goes north, south, or right along it. I'll see it when I believe it. It's fine. But anyway, she sent me a video last night. She teaches ballroom dancing, and she has a big competition coming up where she helps run it in the beginning of March. And she had her brother mail her prom dresses from her junior and senior year, and she sent me a video because they both still fit her, and she's so excited. I mean, I didn't have any doubt they fit, but I think she was excited that they weren't too big or too small, just a little too small. I'm just using a little eraser here to take away a little bit where I over inked. Okay, so we've got our little cups here, and I am going to, you haven't had that much? Well, that's good, Joanne. Like I said, I don't know where, I think you might be just probably out of that. You're just far enough away, I think, from the zone. I know we got to put our chip in here yet, but we're just going to paint the edges of these. And we'll get and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to freehand it. I'm just going to freehand it. Just want to add a little bit. There's a little bit of wave to her costume here. Just want to add a little sparkle. And I'm using a smaller paintbrush. I don't care either way. I don't work very far away from home, so if it snows, it snows. It's still February. I mean, they did tease us. We had some 50s, and I mean, we had a lot of snow on the ground about a week or so ago, and it's all gone. Yeah, my mom lives up north, and she said they've had a lot of snow. Yes, you have. Do you still have a bunch of snow, Mom, or has any of it melted at all? I mean, I don't know how warm you've gotten up there. Said we don't have a lot, and today when I got home from work is the first time I came out of the garage and all the water had melted by the garage step, which is good because my puppy likes to play in it and dig in it, and he loves water, blow bubbles in it. The other night he was over there, I looked out the window and he literally had his nose in the water and he was just blowing bubbles. Okay. It's melting into an ice rink. Okay, we had that for about 2 days, Mom. I mean, because it melted really fast, and where I take the dog for a walk, it was very icy. I had to kind of walk on the side for 2 days, and then it got really muddy. And I took him out the one day for lunch. We were having lots of fun running, and I didn't think about it. And we got back towards the car, and of course, you know, when you ride a bike and it's muddy, what happens to the back of your clothes from the tire? All his underside was scattered with mud. And I wasn't sure what to do, because normally he had his collar on. Yes, ice is the worst. I could have just taken him over to the river and just said, hey, and I bet you he would have plumped himself down in the river, and he would have come out as soon as I started to leave. I live right on the Mississippi, for those of you who don't know. And but there was people putting their boats in because it was such a nice day. They were going fishing. So at that exact moment. Okay, so there we go. We've got our little bit of glitz. I will add the chips later because I'm going to let that dry. And then we'll add the cup later too, because the cups that we made at the beginning are still wet. I'm going to go give those a good paint wash in my paint in the sink after we're done with some soap and water to get that chroma glaze out of there. Do not lose the plastic. Try not to lose this piece. Keep ahead of that. That helps keep it sealed and keeps it fresh. Whatever. Maybe it's in Minnesota this time of year. Well, you know, part of that, Joanne, from what I remember, is that is a way to tell you spring is coming. You put the car in the middle of you put the car in the lake on the ice, and it melts. That's what you can tell. Okay, I'm gonna move this. Actually, I'm gonna move this off to the side for a minute, because we're gonna go ahead and this piece we're not putting tape on because we're gonna use that. I'm gonna put that on with the flap. Like I said, I will get a picture of that later. And I'm gonna go ahead and put my tape on all of my pictures here. Probably gonna put, like I said, I don't know if I'm gonna stamp it or if I'm just gonna find the program and print part of the program title, which I like to do for their plays, is use that as their title on my scrapbook page. But I will do that and make sure I have the year as well. And actually, the year this play was supposed to be on, my daughter tried out for a part. She had been in many, many plays before, but she's been in plays since she was in first grade. I think in all, before she graduated high school, she was in 30 plays, and that includes a bunch of small little one-acts when they were in junior high. I don't remember exactly, but we did the Missoula Children's Theater every year when it came to town. And okay, we're gonna put this one down right here because that's the one that's gonna get that flap over the top. And then I think I put this one here, and we put this one down here. So I don't know if you can see this. The girls here, actually they're mostly girls, but there's a few boys. The chorus here, they are the flatware. They are flat. Oop, I did not put that in. Put that up, pick that up a little bit. That is at a little bit of an angle. Stand up, put that back down. So if you can see that, so you can see they're wearing all black, and so she's a fork, she's a spoon, there's a knife. That was their costumes to be flatware. Yeah, Mom, that would make sense because it's warmer. You know, that you wouldn't want to be driving out there. Okay, so we've got this. I've got to let that dry before I can really put a title on it. We've got when I finish these, I will probably put one of these kind of with the flip-flappy thing. I don't know if I will use two. I have two made, but we'll have these. And then I did think I'm going to go for it. And if I have to, I'll find something, fix it up. I'm going to grab the Tea Party stamp set. There are lots of little stamps that we could do too. But I thought I would put this little stamp on the other one. It says, "You're my cup of tea." And I thought I'd put that near her picture of just her. So let's grab that. And we are going to go for it with a block. Let's see if I have a piece of scratch paper around here. Just want to check out. Okay, make sure. I've used that before. All right, we're gonna go right for it. I'm gonna put it right here. It's gonna say, "You're my cup of tea." Perfect. Love it. And I think just to add a little bit more fun, I'm going to grab that gray ink once again. And I'm going to grab the fluted tea from the tea set. And we're going to stamp a few of those as well, but I'm going to do it in the gray ink. And just add a little bit. I'll grab the teapot. It doesn't have to, this does not have to be super dark. This is just to add a little extra interest to the card. It's kind of like your own pattern paper. I guess I'm actually, as I did that, I'm going to add this one here. We'll put one next to her. You're my cup of tea. I'm just going to stamp them all the way up this, just for a fun little extra. I said this isn't something I've done often, but I like it. So I'm going to add that. So I have that added on. What do you guys think? I feel like there's one that almost needs to be right here. Yep. And we'll tip it this way. So here is page 1 of our Chip and Mrs. Potts. And then we have our page 1. I'll bring it back for a minute and catch up. Sorry, it's not. Here, see if I can put it down. Hard to see the whole thing when it's, because I'm trying not to set them on top of one another. And then I've got this one. I'm going to go ahead and grab the fat. Nope, I don't want to have the fat teapot. I want this teapot. Looks like Mrs. Potts. And we're going to add a couple of those and then we will call it good. Just going to go ahead and add it. I think I'm going to see if I can pull this up without too much. And we'll move this over a little bit. There we go. In the corner, we will add a teacup and a chip. So we have our teacup. We have our chip. And I think that is going to call it good. I know it's shining a little bit. I'll try to hold that up a little bit so you can see where I added that. You could also stamp and cut these, color them and cut them out as die cuts or as stickers. So I hope you enjoyed my scrapbooking night. I know it's an unusual thing for me to do. I usually do card making. Next week I will be live on Wednesday. I have not decided what I'm going to do yet. There's the stamp of the month and the other add-on stencils I haven't used, but I thought it might be just a fun, wacky Wednesday where we just throw some things and see what we have, or maybe challenge myself to use what's on my desk to make a card with Crafter Math. So thank you for joining me tonight. Please give me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment if you still scrapbook, let me know. Subscribe to the channel so you know whenever one of the design team members goes live, and have a great night. Try to create something every day, and remember to always create your own ending. Have a great rest of your week, guys. Night.